So you've decided you want to start a coaching or consulting business. But getting clear on exactly what you want to do, that can feel a little overwhelming. What if you've got 15 years of experience in education, but you know you have an eye for design? Or what if you've been in pharma sales for years, but your heart really wants to lead yoga retreats? Look, you're not alone. And so today we're talking about how to make the best upfront choices that ultimately define your business. So, what you do, who you help, and the problem that you solve. And maybe most importantly, whether or not your idea has the potential to support you financially and emotionally. So, today I want to share with you my 3-layer niche finder method. And I'll also tell you how I made the wild transition from corporate finance geek to running an award winning brand strategy firm. I'm Laura Zavelson, and this is the GenXpert Show, where we talk about how to capitalize on your experience and expertise to build a coaching or consulting business that'll give you more opportunities for money, impact, and enjoying your time so you never, ever have to be out there looking for a job again, unless you want to. So, if you've decided you want to start a business and you're at the very beginning, you might even be saying to yourself, what business would I even start? Or you might be pulled between a skill set that you've been working on for a long time and a passion that you've always had sort of deep down inside your heart. I know what that feels like because that's exactly what happened to me. So, when I was the CEO of my first company that I co founded, it was a software company. I got pregnant with my second child, and we had just raised money from some investors, and we were supposed to be moving forward super fast. And I was so sick, I could barely get out of bed. I was losing weight instead of gaining weight. I could barely function. So honestly, I had no idea what to do about work. And there wasn't any support. I was the only woman at the company. We had an all male board. I didn't even know any other female founders at the time. This was a long time ago. So I took the only option I thought I had and I stepped away from the company. Now, if I knew then what I know now, I might have made a really different decision. But that journey is part of what led me here. So after I had the baby, a healthy baby boy, by the way, I started thinking about what I wanted to do next. And the obvious answer probably would have been to do another startup, but it just didn't fit very well with the amount of presence and engagement I wanted to have with my two children. Um, Another option would have been to be a fractional CFO. That would have been good money, maybe more flexibility. But every time I thought about it, it kind of made my stomach turn. And I finally realized I didn't really want to do that work and I didn't really want to work with those clients. So the thing was, I had this other idea that I really wanted to try, but I knew it wouldn't be as financially rewarding. But I also knew it would feed this creative longing I had kind of pushed down ever since I got my MBA. So I started freelance copywriting. And that actually eventually turned into an award winning company that generated about $1 million a year. So I didn't know it then, but I was actually creating a success model that I use with my business breakthrough clients, where we intentionally design their businesses around their individual visions for success in terms of money and meaning and flexibility and fun. Fun is important and fun counts too. So, look, we're going to talk more about that model in another episode. But what I want to share with you in this episode is my 3-layer niche finding technique that takes all of that into account to help you figure out what you want to do and who you want to help and what problem you want to solve. Okay, so why do you need a niche in the first place? Well, I've talked about this idea in other episodes, so we're not going to spend a bunch of time on it here. But your niche is basically how you define your business and getting really clear about what problem you solve and who you want to work with is pretty much the only way that you can market your business in a manageable way. Because the biggest mistake that most coaches and consultants make is trying to align all of their experiences and all of their passions and everyone that they can help into one business. And frankly, that's just a really fast way to fail. Okay, so think about it. People don't actually buy this vague concept of coaching or consulting. What they buy are solutions to specific problems. So think about it from their point of view, right? If you have a heart issue, do you want to go to a GP or a heart specialist? It's the same thing with coaching, right? Specialists get hired faster, and they can charge more. And the last piece of this is you. As a new entrepreneur, you do not need the added distractions of trying to serve a whole lot of different audiences and trying to solve a whole bunch of different problems. Focus and specificity are absolutely going to be your friend, and I would argue are actually one of the keys to success. So if you're not sure you believe me on this one, I want you to check out my other episodes around niching, okay? And I'm going to put the links to those in the description. Okay, so I'm going to get into my 3-layer niche finder method in just a minute. But first, I want to talk about trade-offs. So as I said earlier, one of my core beliefs that I incorporate into all of my programs is that your business needs to support you financially and emotionally. And what I mean by that is that if you build a business that doesn't give you the flexibility that you really want, or it doesn't give you the work hours that you really want, the time to rest that you really need, you are going to burn out really quickly. So, in my own case, if I had gone ahead and taken another CEO role after my son was born, yes, I would have made more money. But emotionally, I think it would have killed me because the stress and the amount of time I had available for my kids would not have been aligned with what I wanted my life to look like at that moment. So you have to be really honest with yourself. What do you want or need from this business that you're going to start right now? And you can redesign your business as your life changes. But right now, if you really need money, it might not be the best time to decide to be a philosopher. And if you're at a time in your life when flexibility is at the top of your list, you might not want to start a business in crisis management. And if your primary goal is impact and the money isn't important at all, maybe what you really want to do is volunteer or start a nonprofit. Okay. And I only say this because I've seen a lot of people who sort of dive into entrepreneurship without thinking much about what running a business and how they've structured that business is going to impact their lives. And if there's one thing I can do that's going to save you a lot of time and stress as an entrepreneur, it's get you thinking about those kinds of things now at the beginning, because it can absolutely change your trajectory. And just as important as what you want to do is actually what you don't want. If you have non negotiables, no travel, no working weekends, no employees, let's bring those into the picture now, too. So the key here is to find that intersection of money and meaning and flexibility and fun that gets you to your enough number where you can sustain your business and also be really happy about what you do every day. Okay, so right now we're going to go through a powerful 3-layered exercise that's going to help you find your niche. So grab a notebook or open your notes app because you're going to want to write this down. Layer 1 is all about you. What do you want to do? So we're going to take that piece of paper, we're going to go to our notes app, and I want you to make 2 columns. And I'm going to have you put skills on one side and passions on the other. So our goal here is that we want to get a clear picture of the skills you already have, so what you're already great at, and then your passion. What excites you? What do you want to do all day long? So on that skills side, I want you to think about, what are you known for? Okay. What do people come to you for help with? One advantage of starting a company when you're a Gen Xer is that you already have a solid list of these, whether or not you got paid for them, right? And so if you start a business that takes advantage of skills that you already have, the amount of time it's going to take you to start making money is going to be a lot shorter. Okay, in the other column, what we want to write down is passions. Okay, what could you talk about for hours? What problems energize you? If the areas on this side don't overlap with the skills side, that's okay, especially if getting to money quickly is not your primary objective. Right now, we just want to open up as many options as we can. Again, speaking for myself, obviously, if I had gone like the fractional CFO route, I would have made money much faster than building a brand agency from scratch. Now, my heart wouldn't have been in it, but if that's what I needed to do for my family at that time, that's what I would have done. I think there's a lot of people who are like, oh, follow your passion and it's going to be great. But I think that we have to recognize the realities of your life as it is right now. So, and then what we can do is intentionally design a business that moves you towards your passions over time. Okay, so one more aside here. I do want to give you permission to really explore that passion side, even if it means less money or it means turning away from something that maybe you've invested a lot of educational time in. I cannot tell you how many people I know that are lawyers that do not practice law because they don't like it. I think it's really important here to think about your enough number and what will make you happy. There are studies that show that after a certain point, the incremental extra dollars don't lead to more happiness. So this is the time to think about what that number is and what that point is for you. All right, so feel free to pause the video here so you can fill out those two lists. One with your skills and one with your passions. And we're just coming up with ideas right now, so don't take anything off the table, okay? And what we want to doing is looking for overlaps. Look for interesting pairings. Is there a way you can apply your skills to a new area that you're passionate about? And if you're having trouble seeing it for yourself, because it can be really easy to get too close to it, right? Maybe show it to a trusted friend and ask them what they see. And when you're done, come back and let's move on to layer two. So layer two is all about your potential market. So it's about who your client might be and what they need. So you can love doing something, but if it doesn't solve a poison ivy level itchy problem for someone, it's going to be a lot harder to build a business around it. So now, most people I work with have some idea about who they want to help. And that's this idea of this client avatar you may have heard of, right? So, is it an individual? Is it a business? Are they a beginner? Are they advanced? Um, you might know that I also prefer the term focus area over just kind of focusing on the demographics of who you help. Um, I would think you need to look at the person who you want to help and understand the problems that they have that you can help solve. I just think that's a much better way to define a business opportunity. So the thing we want to think about in this layer is not only who they are, but what problems do they have? So what are their biggest struggles, their challenges, and their desired results? What do they want? Okay, so back to that piece of paper or document you've been working on. In thinking about the areas of business that you identified from the skills passion columns, in this section, I want you to think about different kinds of people you could help and what problems they might have. And again, this would be a great place to pause the video and actually hop into ChatGPT or Gemini if you have access. All you have to do in terms of a prompt is write in, I do this kind of coaching or consulting. So that would be your idea from page one, right? And I help this person or this type of company. And be as specific as you can. And then ask, what are some of the biggest challenges or problems that I could help them solve? And then come back, because layer three is all about whether or not your ideas can actually work as a business. Okay, the last layer, layer three, is financial feasibility. And this is where we're actually going to ask the question, can this be a business? So as we talked about, money isn't everything, but your business has to make enough money to cover your business expenses and pay you. Otherwise, it's not really a business. It's kind of more of a hobby. So let's look at whether or not we think this is a business opportunity. So the first question I like to ask is, are people already paying to get this problem solved? So you can Google it, you can go on LinkedIn, you can look and see if there's any Amazon books about it. If you see competitors, that is a good thing because it means people pay to get that problem solved. All right. Second, is there any way that you can find out how much they're paying to get that problem solved? So you could ask ChatGPT again, but this is a place I would be concerned that they might be hallucinating, right? They're not going to give you a real answer. A better way of doing research for that exact thing is to actually talk to people. The third question is, in general, does the audience you're targeting and have access to have the budget to pay you? So I had a client recently who is a wardrobe stylist, and she was a brand new mom and wanted that to be her target market. But she, after looking into it, realized that a lot of new moms aren't working. A lot of times families have some financial constraints at that time. And so they might not be her best market. Where she found a better market was moms returning to work who had the potential of income on the horizon, and they were much more willing to invest in themselves. Okay. And then the fourth question I think to ask is, are there enough of this audience to make it worth your while? And can you easily get to them? An example of a watch out might be if you're trying to help people with something they don't necessarily want other people to know about. It's not impossible, but it can be really hard and expensive to market to people that you can't find. Okay, so now that you understand those financial feasibility questions, it's time to stack the layers. So, what we want to do is put together these different combinations of what you do and focus area, and then evaluate them in terms of their financial feasibility. Okay, so when you're done with this part of the exercise, what you should have is a list of pairings. So, here's something I'm excited about doing. Here is my focus area. So that's the person and the problem. Put those together. And if that's a business, how does it score in terms of the financial feasibility questions that we asked? Okay. The goal here is to narrow all your ideas down to maybe 2 or 3 concepts that you want to explore further. Because the next step is that you're going to start talking to people. Because as you have conversations and ask questions, the more you'll learn about which one is the best opportunity for you. Now, one last thing I want you to remember. I know from experience that one of these is really calling to you. And I'm going to guess it's because you've been kind of noodling on it for a long time. And maybe this exercise made it a little clearer. And so now you're really excited about it. But the best business ideas usually come from iteration. So as you start talking to people, and please don't skip that step, as you start talking about it to people, really be open to their input. Try to be as flexible as possible. And if you want to talk through your niche with me, you are welcome to book a no strings, no sales call anytime. I will put the link in the description or the show notes. All right. So that is a wrap for this episode. If today's episode was helpful to you and it got you thinking, I'd love it if you'd like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.